The following podcast contains strong language.
Hello and welcome to Ciné Rambles. It's me, Nick Prosser, back again with my friend Andrew Jones.
Hello.
And we are, well, shall we respond to some comments about our previous Oscar podcast?
Yeah, I've had a couple of comments.
Couple of comments.
Only two.
Yeah. Literally a couple of comments.
Yes. So firstly, when we were talking about Lion King,
Yes.
I called the bird a toucan.
Which I thought was wrong.
Yep.
It was wrong.
It was wrong. For a couple of reasons. Firstly, toucan is a not a bird you'd find in the savannah.
No.
No.
Oh, it's Amazon, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a rainforest bird.
It seems obvious now you think about it.
Yeah, it really does. Not only that, it's a hornbill, by the way, the actual bird. Not only that, but literally in the lyrics of the song, it says, "Kings don't take advice from little hornbills for a start." It names the bird in the song. And
Which
I was
just
like,
shows how
no,
closely you were paying attention.
toucan. It's a hornbill.
Yes.
There we go.
I'd also like to point out toucans have like really colourful beaks.
But
And, like,
I was thinking back to the original animation. He's got a very colourful beak in there.
it's an orange beak.
It's got blue and yellow bits on it.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, it has.
No, it hasn't.
Okay, maybe. I mean, right. Let's not argue about this. Anyway,
Right.
and the other thing was, we talked about 1917 for a long time, and we both said that we'd liked it. We both said that we thought objectively it was a good film. We then proceeded to spend the next, however long the podcast was, slagging the film off.
For the rest of the 2 hours.
So I think we should say some good things about it, or at least what we enjoyed about it, what we liked
Okay.
about it, like, because I think we were very overly negative.
I would like to clarify as well, in the case of review, consider anything I don't mention was probably fine. Because I generally only comment on the negative aspects of a film.
Yeah.
But I mean, right, so 1917, I think I did mention that the first hour or so is really strong.
Yeah.
I think that when they're going through the initial no man's land and when they're going through the abandoned German trench, like the atmosphere and the sort of the tension in that sequence is very, very well done. It's got sort of this that bordering on horror kind of
Yes, I like that, and the
Feel to
rats,
it.
like the jump scares of
Yes.
the rats. But also, like, there's a lot of really good bits in it, and I did really
Yeah.
like it. So like the comments just said that we were very nitpicky. You know, we
Yeah.
were nitpicking lots of small problems that you could. You know, I have only seen those problems because I've pored over it so much, and I've seen loads of scenes so many times.
Well, I mean, also there's a sort of when it comes to if you're nitpicking a film, there's either two eventualities that happened. Either the film is sort of so good that the only things you can comment on it are nitpicky things, or the film, because every film has flaws of that kind.
Yeah.
But if you're noticing them and fixating on them, it's because the film isn't pulling you in, which I think is the problem in 1917. Once we get to that,
Stop talking about the problems, Nick.
no, but I'm trying to justify because once it sort of unravels at that sort of that hard cut with a sniper, that's when
Yes.
what happens is I got drawn out of the experience. That's when I start noticing all these smaller problems, which
Yeah.
might be smaller problems, but it's because the main problem of the film is that it lost my interest
Yeah.
from a sort of emotional perspective.
So another thing we said is we didn't think there was good enough character development of the characters, but I've also realised now there is some character development, but it's a lot more subtle than we were giving credit.
Right.
So like when they go into the German trench and Schofield finds the picture of a German family or whatever, and he's
Yeah.
like, you know, realising that they're only people. You know, and then at the end, the picture he finds of the German family, and then he's got the picture of his family right at the
Yeah.
end, and the parallel there is very strong because it's like a very similar picture,
Yeah.
you
sure.
know, and it's like there's a lot of subtle character development that I don't think, well, we didn't obviously draw attention to it, and I
No.
think that it does well. It's just unfortunate that it's almost too subtle to notice, you know. Anyway. Moving on.
Okay, so we're done.
Well,
for-
yeah, we're done with that.
Okay, right.
That's enough of that.
So let's go on to this week's reviews.
Yes. So,
So, last weekend we had, of course, Valentine's Day. And what else would you take your darling love to see but Sonic the Hedgehog?
So, yeah, I liked Sonic. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Thing is, I thought it'd be the type of thing I would hate. You know, but also video game films are famously terrible.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, so, I can't name
Resident
one that's
Evil,
really good.
Alone in the Dark, Doom.
Tomb Raider's okay.
Tomb Raider's probably as good as it's been
Yeah.
before. Oh wait, there's Warcraft. Got some reviews.
That was okay.
That was good.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
I didn't see it.
That was the type of film that you would enjoy if you were a fan and you knew the lore,
Yeah,
and it was cool to see those things bring to life.
which is why I didn't go to see it.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I think because it was very good on its lore and and its representation of the game characters and all that. But I think objectively, like, people who don't know about that didn't enjoy it. So
Sure.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But that had some really. But not talking about Sonic, Warcraft. Anyway, Warcraft had some really good fight scenes in it, and the stuff with the orcs was really good. Like,
Wait, there's orcs and
Yeah.
why am I surprised by that?
why? Yeah,
I
why
don't
are
know,
you surprised?
for some reason, I always associate orcs as being exclusively Tolkienian, but then of course, so many
Well,
things rip off Tolkien.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I mean, Skyrim has orcs.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's no orcs in Sonic.
There's not orcs in Sonic.
You can put that on the poster. 100% less orcs. Ciné Rambles.
What's your review of Sonic? No orcs.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's
I
up
don't
to you.
know. Do you want orcs? This is how you get orcs.
Could our rating system be how many orcs out of 10?
Sure. For Sonic exclusively.
Yeah, well, how many orcs out of 10 would you give Sonic then?
I think that'd be revealing my opinion too early.
Oh, okay then. Well, Sonic came out was it on Valentine's
Yes.
Day?
Which I find hilarious.
Well, yeah.
Because the number of awkward teenagers going with their first loves on a little date, and I was like, can we see Sonic the Hedgehog? I'm like, yes, you can.
Yeah. No, yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Well, it was better than I expected it to be. I really liked Sonic as a character because I really like Ben Schwartz, who plays Sonic.
Yes.
Who is?
What else has he done?
He's John Ralphio in Parks and Recreation.
Oh, okay. That would
which
explain the annoyance.
Did you?
Well,
What? But so I really like him in Parks and Rec, and I think he was a very good choice for Sonic. Like the fast talking, I want to say Spider-Man-esque. Do you know what I mean? Like the
what sort of
non-stop.
constantly making witticisms?
Yeah.
Another thing I really don't like about Spider-Man.
Wow. But yeah, I really liked it, and there's some good things. Jim Carrey was better than I was, because I don't really like Jim Carrey in many things, but I thought he was good in this. He was a decent villain. He played the, very full of himself, like, what's it called? Over the top, like, antagonist very well, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
James Marsden. Poor James Marsden.
Poor James Marsden.
Yeah.
Why poor?
Because he's in some absolutely turds of films, and I feel bad because he's never the worst part. Like, he always tries.
He's the Wachowski, isn't he? The police officer.
He's the police officer.
I thought he was pretty good.
He's alright, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he
He's
was
never the
very
worst part,
entertaining to
is
watch,
he?
yeah.
He's in Hop. Do you remember Hop?
I do remember Hop.
Yeah.
Not that I saw it, but I
Because he's
remember it
also
existed.
the CGI character's friend in Hop as well.
This seems to be a worrying typecast to
Yeah.
get into. But I mean, I suppose it takes a certain talent to be able to act alongside something that's not there.
Yeah. And I think he obviously does do it very well.
Yeah.
I think he was good, and I think the CGI holds up.
So talking to CGI, I
Yes.
would like to basically preface this review by talking about, of course, there's the controversy with, well, controversy is probably the wrong word, but of course the trailer came out last year with the horrific Sonic design that's been doing rounds on the internet.
So I want to talk about that as well.
Okay. Well, I just want to say basically, regardless of what might be said about this film, because it's not an amazing film, but I almost say, considering the incredible hard work the animators put into this last minute, and that sort of, I guess the desire to actually try and make an effort and listen to the fans and make it look good.
That's what I want to say. That like what I really did like about it is this doesn't feel like a money grab. it could have been, and I think if they left it how it was, it would feel like a money grab, that they're just releasing something with the Sonic IP just because, oh, maybe the kids will like it and we'll get some money. Whereas because they've spent so much money redoing it, it feels like, or at least the animators have put lots of passion and love into this project, and it elevates the whole thing, I think.
And also considering the way animators get constantly abused in the industry, and in Sonic in particular, I think a large amount of them got laid off around Christmas.
They did, yeah.
So I think basically, regardless of how good the film is, I would say it's worth getting a ticket just to support and sort of, support the animators, support the sort of the ability
Also,
to take criticism and work on it to make a better film rather than just releasing cats.
Yeah. The other thing is, I think it shows that these big companies aren't like infallible. You know what I mean? Like and it gives the fans some sort of power. Not that fans need power, but it gives them the chance to, like, a company says like, oh, people don't like this, rather than sticking to our guns and losing a load of money, we're just going to, do it. But then on the devil's advocate, you can say, are they crumbling under pressure? Do you think they should have just stuck with their guns? And
because I think there's no virtue in sticking to something that's been provenly bad out of pride.
But well, then that's the thing. I never watched the original trailer because I had no interest in it, basically, and I don't really like watching trailers. So after I'd seen the film, I then went and watched the original trailer with the original CGI. And I don't think it was that bad.
I respectfully disagree. Because I've since gone back and seen bits of the trailer, and
it's not... Well, the way people are reacting, it's like, this Sonic was the rebirth of the Antichrist and the end days were coming.
I would argue that the old version of Sonic is at least approaching Cat's level of creepiness.
I mean, it wasn't terrible. Like, if they had their film like that, it would have just been okay. I think the redesign is vastly superior. Like, it is, million times better, but the old one isn't as dreadful as everyone says, I don't think. But then that's just my opinion.
I think the old one, I think, similarly to Cats, where a lot of the creepiness comes from the sort of the anthropomorphism. I think there's something
uncanny valley.
It's not so much uncanny valley, but I think there's something about the proportions of the old Sonic, like the sort of the length of his limbs compared to the rest of him, which doesn't quite. Also, and his head is what. There's something about it's not. Yeah. It's too
small.
Yeah, it's like the thing is because they're trying to go in the old version. They're trying to go sort of more photorealistic, somewhat. As opposed to the new one, they're more cartoony, but because he won't look real regardless. Having him have realistic proportions looks more weird than if he just has cartoon proportions.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think trying to make him look real in especially in a video game movie where he's jumping around doing all these video game things, and Jim Carrey, to his credit, is a very video game-esque character. Yes. He's very over the top. His performance is very good, and I think seeing the new Sonic fits so much better in that world than the old one would have done, because he looks like you've taken him straight out of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I think is good.
The film, one of the big merits of the film is it does feel very much like it has the sensibility of a cartoon or of a video game. Like it doesn't try too hard to ground it. It's very much in the physics almost entirely goes out the window at various points, and you know what, that's fair enough because it's Sonic.
It's Sonic.
And I thought actually, with that in mind, Jim Carrey is. I wasn't entirely sold on the casting when I first heard it, but seeing him in it, I think it seems like perfect casting because he has that video game sort of element to his performance that's so over the top, so sort of elastic, like sort of how he was in The Grinch. That same kind of thing rings true here.
I would also like to just say quickly, Jim Carrey's face, the way he can manipulate his face is just incredible. Yeah, I think like his physical comedy is just outstanding, isn't it? Like how he can manipulate his face to do these things just to increase his comedy is just incredible.
And that's why I think he suits so well to these kinds of like completely over the top, like unrealistic, like cartoony kind of roles. Yeah, I think that's his absolute forte. Yeah, although I did at various points consider whether the Sonic film would have worked better as a straight up animation over live action.
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting question, isn't it? But then,
Because basically there's this whole thing about because video games are inherently, I mean, the technology's starting to get there, but inherently have a sort of cartoony in their design, certainly older ones.
Yeah,
you just can't do photorealism in the 90s on a SNES. Sega Genesis, excuse me. But, so when we made the jump from a video game to a film, the default is to do live action, but surely, if they went animated, would that make
I think that would have worked
transition?
with anyone other than Jim Carrey. Because, because Jim Carrey's such a physical performer.
He would actually probably lose some of it by being animated, which is quite a unique situation.
Yeah. But I think because he has the presence that I think you would lose completely. But then you could have recast him, and then you would have got a more closer, like, body type, and the crazy limbs, and Dr. Eggman, who's has very strange proportions. So yeah. But then I don't know. I do think there were a couple of scenes I thought were good, like the scenes where he goes the
Quicksilver, because that's what they are. Yeah, those were definitely the highlight. That's when I was like, this is exactly what I want from a Sonic.
Yeah,
Sonic
I was like,
going
that is
fast,
really
doing
good.
Sort of interesting, like basically like slapstick comedy.
Yes.
With the witticism and the sort of going fast. It's like this works.
I did like that. However, it was completely ripped off from Days of Future Past.
To be fair, X-Men Days of Future Past also didn't start the trend either.
No.
Citation needed, but I'm pretty sure that has been done at least one other thing. Not counting bullet time from the Matrix, although that's sort of the spiritual birthplace of it.
Yeah. Because I think, but there were bits like, would you say it's just a homage to it? Because I think it is. I think it's homage more than a straight rip-off.
Homage, but the problem is, with an homage, you generally do it once. Well, Sonic does it three times.
Twice, isn't it?
At least twice. I think I counted 3. But I would...
Really? I think it was twice. Because they do it once in the bar and then once on the roof.
Did I do it a third time as well later?
I don't think so.
Know.
Anyway.
I think the thing with Sonic, overall as a film, is it's not high art and it's not anything really groundbreaking.
Yeah.
But then it's also Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. So and for that, it's basically does as good a job as that possibly can. Like it doesn't stray too far from what a video game is inherently about. It doesn't try to load it down with too much like other baggage to try and make it seem like a grander story than it is, which I like. It's also like it's very briskly paced. Like it's dead on 90 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It wastes essentially no time at all getting to the point and just getting through its story.
There's a couple of things I want to say about it.
Yeah.
Firstly, I really liked, and I don't know, normally I don't feel like this, but I really liked that they left themselves open to a sequel. Because it feels like in this, a sequel feels so natural because there's so much left of the lore to explore,
And so many more characters.
But for this, I feel like it works, like, and I genuinely want to see that. Whereas in like an Avengers film or whatever, those feel so forced because they're like contractually obliged to boost the next film.
Yeah.
Whereas this just feels like, oh yeah, there's some room for a sequel, and it's like, okay, I'm interested. Yeah.
Yeah. This is very much almost feel like a prelude to something greater in that sense, but not in a way that wasn't self-contained in itself. Like it was a simple story as it is. It was a complete story.
Yes.
I think that's actually what's one of the virtues. It is a simple story.
Like, it's very simple, isn't it? It's...
Which I think is the right way to go about it. To not overcomplicate, to not bog it down with some other, like even the family stuff with Marsden. Marsden? Like it's there, but it's as much there as it needs to be a story. Like they don't focus for any longer than they absolutely have to on it.
Yes.
Which is
and the other thing I wanted to say, the negative I thought was the conflict between the two characters, between the Sonic and James Marsden
was so contrived. I didn't quite realise it was a conflict until they started going like, oh, well, you're going to leave him. Like, did he say that? I wasn't really...
So that was so forced, and I feel like there might even be a scene missing from there. It felt like they've cut a scene out because it was so... I mean, what, in the space of 5 minutes, they go from being best mates to being like, oh, he's going to leave me, and then 5 minutes later, they're best mates again.
Also, what I didn't understand about that was Sonic's whole, want and neediness is to get home. Well, sorry, his want is to get home, to the mushroom planet.
Yes.
It's
to escape Earth, isn't it?
To get out of danger. And so he's like, yes, my whole goal is to leave this planet. And then a minute later, he's like, oh, so you're going to leave me? I'm like, Yes, you want to leave. But what has your goal changed? Of course, you're going to leave in the next couple of hours. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Oh, on a similar note, because that was during the car chase scene.
Yes.
The car chase scene, I think, is the highlight of the film. Like that.
Yeah, I thought
that
it was
to me
really good.
is exactly what I want from a Sonic. That recaptured the entire sort of you know, what I find interesting about Sonic. That you know, moving at high speed, you got the robots and using Sonic's powers against them in the sort of using. This sounds so mean if I say it, but using speed in interesting ways.
Yeah.
I think that what.
But also, really, I'm glad they managed to do the ball thing.
Yeah.
In a way that
sort of made sense.
Yeah, it made sense, but didn't look stupid. Yeah. And it worked, and it was cool, and it was like, that's like Sonic's main attack thing, isn't it? It's like, yeah.
I think at its absolute best, it reminded me of Sonic X, the animated series, with a similar kind of plot. And I know Sonic X isn't exactly the highest rated animated series of the time, but I thought it was really solid when I was like 8. So I was quite happy when it did reach those same kind of levels of sort of humour and.
I think it has heart.
Yeah.
The characters are good. They're strong. The performances are strong. I think it is good, and especially for a video game film, I think it's very good.
That's it. I think it's good for what it is, and almost not high art, nothing exceptional or game changing.
Yeah.
But for a Sonic the Hedgehog live action film, it really couldn't get a huge amount better than it was, really.
Yeah.
Like, it played so many of its cards right.
Yeah. Also, because, again, we work in the cinema, like, kids absolutely love it.
Yeah, they won't shut up for the entire duration of the film.
Yeah, but every time kids come out, they're just sprinting around being like, oh, look, I'm Sonic. And it's like, kids obviously are loving that film.
And that's the thing, it's definitely aimed at kids and...
Yeah, like, no doubt,
fans.
isn't it? Yeah.
And so as someone who's
also,
had a casual interest in Sonic growing up, but otherwise hasn't been that into it.
I liked that there wasn't that much fan service.
No.
There was a couple bits like the place on Earth is called Green Hills.
Yeah.
And what else is there? There's the post-credit scene. There's Jim Carrey looking like the proper Eggman.
Which is good. Also, there was a reference when he splits all his drones out at the top of the tower. Ty makes some reference about his eggs, and I'm like, nice.
Oh yeah, and he says, "Oh, who are you, an Eggman?" or whatever.
Yeah, I was like, that wasn't too bad.
It wasn't like none of the fan service was cringy or in the way or distracting in any way. I thought it was done really well. Like, I thought it was well written. Also, it made me laugh. Like, there was a couple bits that genuinely did make me laugh that I thought were good.
I'll say I don't think I laughed like properly out loud. I definitely chuckled a couple of times.
Yeah.
There are definitely moments which I think, well, I mean, this is probably quite obvious, but the Olive Garden promotions.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
The thing is, they tried to play them off as like, you know, self-referential jokes. Whereas like it's too. It wasn't enough. It was too sort of like.
There was so much product placement in that film.
Yeah.
It was
distracting.
It was, but also, you know, when the little girl gives him the shoes, like the new shoes,
you can see
like,
the Puma
you
logo.
can see the logo. I was like, oh my god.
It's like, so I know when Casino Royale came out. Was it Casino Royale? It was one of the newer ones, and they started making like drink Heineken.
That was Skyfall, I think.
Was it Skyfall?
So.
Yeah, and like, a lot of people were complaining about that, and like, but that's a small thing you can sort of like not notice. But with the way they have this like these lingering almost product placement, these shots of each of the brands they focus on is a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we don't have Olive Garden in the UK, so that was that was
don't
just
really
ruining
know
a film for out of the European version.
Yeah. No, Nando's, mate.
That would have been interesting.
Well, the guys at the end, he's like, "Oh, I've got you an Olive Garden gift patch, like cheeky Nando's." Cool.
Any other final comments?
Would you recommend it?
I would recommend it if you're young and listening to this for some reason. But no, yeah, I think if you got like a family and you got sort of, you know, children under 10, I think they will definitely absolutely love this.
Yeah.
It's not essential viewing. It's not. I mean, I'd say you're not missing anything by not seeing it. However, as I said before, I do think if it's worth going for just to sort of support the animators involved.
Yeah. Do you think, just quickly, did you see Detective Pikachu?
No, I did not.
No.
Because that trailer, that was just a film like, no, just no.
Yeah.
But I have heard people like that.
Well, the thing is, I had no want or need to go and see Detective Pikachu, because that just felt a lot more like, oh yeah, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds, but this time he's a small yellow mouse thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I was like, oh, I do actually want to see this, because, I don't know, Ben Schwartz isn't enough of a, Ryan Reynolds has such a recognisable voice, I think.
It would just be Deadpool, but yeah.
Exactly. Whereas Ben Schwartz was different, and I felt like, oh yeah, I can get behind this a bit more.
Oh, another thing I want to say about Sonic quickly.
Yeah.
I did say I like that it starts very briskly, but I think the random owl mother he has for all of her minutes before she dies, I'm like, right, that raises a lot of questions, and it doesn't take enough runtime to really be worth raising that many questions.
Also, Baby Sonic was kind of cute.
Yeah, but I think they should have just started with. Oh, also it starts with a action scene, record scratch. I bet you're wondering how I got here.
Yeah,
like,
classic.
no. So I think if shave off the first sort of 3 minutes and just simply start with like, I'm Sonic, I'm hiding on Earth because I'm a freak from a different planet.
Yeah.
That's all you really need to know to get into it. But yeah, I think I've not got a huge amount else to say on Sonic. I think that's
cool. Yeah,
that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Basically, I just want to talk about cosmic horror and how it's portrayed on screen, because I was thinking about this mainly because me and Nick were talking about making our own film, and we wanted to make some sort of horror film,
something Lovecraftian.
Yeah, something Lovecraftian. And then we were talking about the logistics of this and how hard it is to portray cosmic horror on screen. And I was just thinking about this, and I was like, well, because it's so hard to do, people just basically don't do it.
Yeah.
Because it's incredibly hard to do.
The essential sort of tenet of cosmic horror is it's something so unthinkable.
Yeah,
that we can't describe it.
Yeah, the horror comes from it's unfathomable, isn't it?
Yeah. So trying to put it on screen as a clear image.
But then
work.
I just wanted to things that try to do it, like The Colour of Out of Space, which I haven't seen. I'm interested to see.
It's coming out like the end of the month, I think.
I think it's already been released in the US.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. But that is an adaptation of a Lovecraft book, and again, it's trying to this concept of cosmic horror, like The Colour of Out of Space, is something that just drives everyone mad because they can't. It's indescribable, and The Colour of Out of Space in the book is like this colour that is so completely alien, that you can't describe it. Whereas in the film, they've just made it purple. Yeah, but exactly, as soon as you put
it's the weirdest colour we have.
Yeah, but as soon as you put something indescribable on screen, it's there.
It's describable.
It's ruined, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is
describable.
Why,
it's representable in code.
Well, yeah, but adapting Lovecraft is just so difficult to do. But then I was thinking of what are some times that cosmic horror is done well. And I think it's Lost.
Right.
The first season of Lost, there is the beast or the monster or whatever it's called. And they do it so well because it's this cosmic thing that is just chasing them through the jungle, and it's knocking down trees. When it catches people, it skins them alive and leaves them hanging from trees, and they're just dripping with blood. And it's terrifying. They have no idea what it is because it's so fast. And also they can't see it. They're that's cosmic horror done really well because it gives you that tension, and because they never show it on screen, it's oh my god, what is it? And it makes this horrible metallic screeching noise that's oh, well, it's got to be something mechanical, but then why is it not leaving any tracks or anything? It's just tearing down these trees, and it's it's so well because it sets your mind racing, but on to a point where your mind cannot pinpoint it. It's done so well, which is instantly then ruined in the second or third season or whenever it is when they show the thing and it's just a giant smoky monster ball thing, and it's just well, that's completely ruined because that monster was infinitely scarier when you hadn't seen it, when you didn't show it. Like, that could have been anything, and your mind makes it so much worse than what it actually was, which was just a stupid smoke demon.
So when I was writing Sanctuary Zero, which is my sort of science fiction screenplay I wrote for university, I remember when I did a sort of a table read of it with some people in my module, someone recommended that monster from Lost as a reference for some monsters in that one, because I also have them like sort of. I know you've read it.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
So, like for example, in the creature in Trentford City, which we never hear, we only hear its screech, and we see the remnants of either it or its prey in the morning, which is also this indescribable carcass.
Yeah.
And that's it. So, yeah, I think there's a big thing about having things not appear on screen, but seeing the evidence of them.
Yeah, which is again something that Lost does very well.
To see basically like the impact it has on things we can have a tangible idea of. To see like, you know, debris from our world that's affected by it without seeing it. So it's all the same way with with dark matter and dark energy. We can't directly observe it, but the only reason we know it exists is because we can observe its gravitational effects on the rest of the universe, and that's through that we create this like negative image of it. Yeah, and I think cosmic horror works in much the same way. Yeah. Although having said that, when we talk about on-screen cosmic horror, I think the best example I've seen is Annihilation, which I know you haven't seen.
I need to see that.
Which I need you to see because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But in the end, this isn't really a spoiler, but we get to the lighthouse and we see sort of the creature behind it all somewhat. And it's on screen, but even though it's on screen, I couldn't even begin to describe it. Like, it's just sort of this miasma of sort of just colour and form, but sort of just constantly shifts.
Yeah, I can sort of see that. But also, I mean, you saying that just makes me think of Akira, because Akira is almost, you could argue that it's got elements of that, like cosmic horror.
Tetsuo's mutations.
Yeah. Which is, again, like a decent way of showing the bridge between it. Do you know what I mean? Like, from going from being regular to the cosmic horror of him just becoming bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes the universe. That's a confusing film. But that idea is interesting in itself, isn't it? But then, does it? It's just so hard to do on screen. Like,
it's only on a low budget.
Yeah. Well, I mean, arguably, low budget is actually easier to do because
if you just don't show it and you're lost.
Exactly. Yeah.
Akira famously is going to be very expensive. That's what you tried to do.
Well, true. But if you look at Lost, like, so in the first season they used all the money on the pilot, famously the most expensive pilot for a very long time. Yeah. Because it's got the whole plane crash and everything.
I should worry well. I want to watch Lost.
I've seen the first 3 series.
Yeah.
And the first season is really good. The second is like okay, and then the third lost me because it's like lost me. Well, but it goes on for 10 seasons.
10? I thought it was only 4.
I think it's 10. I don't know. It goes on for vastly too long.
I think so. I've always sort of had interest in Lost, but because it's so debatable as to where it's good and then you know, how much of I should be watching.
But I think there was the writers' strike right in the middle of it.
That would have been 2008ish. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was that and Heroes as well.
I know Heroes famously has the second season is appalling while the first season is good.
Yeah, like
and then Charity Shop's only ever find season 2, which is annoying.
Wow, yeah. Again, for Heroes is good. I've seen the first half of the first season of Heroes. Oh wow. So yep. Cool. So should we go for spoiler corner
on Parasite?
Yes. So Parasite. I finally saw Parasite.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well.
So this is spoiler corner.
Yeah. So spoiler corner will be yes. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yes.
But if you haven't seen Parasite, probably stop watching.
Yeah. Or listening.
Oh, you can watch the static image on screen for that. Yep. Yes. So Parasite, it's a fantastic film.
It is fantastic. It is very good. But when I came out of it, it was like, I know this is good, but it's very hard to put into words why.
Yes. That's the thing. Because I remember I tried to describe it to you after I came out of it. As feeling like you're being held by a comfortable pair of hands.
Yeah.
But the film equivalent of it. I stand by that.
Well, I think you were right in a way because
I think it's something about Bong Joon-ho's direction is so sort of masterful. Like every element of that film works also so perfectly in tandem.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single wasted shot, is there? There's like
every element comes back in some way. Every element has a purpose and
like the window. So
Right.
like, you know, they're like, oh, close the windows. You should always
Yes.
close the windows.
Mm.
And he's like, when they're fumigating, and he's like, we're not going to close the windows because free bug, because you know they're that poor. Well, like, that's showing them how poor they are.
Yeah.
But also it's like showing how dangerous it is to then leave the windows in, like open.
Exactly. Leave the windows in.
But that bit with the flood, I think, was one of the best bits because it's so well done, like so allegorical. Do you know what I mean? Like them just going down, constantly going down the steps, going down,
and also like being lost in their own filth in the when their toilet floods, and it's just this absolute. Literally, they've gone from the highest possible place where the rain doesn't matter, and they descend through the city, becoming more and more drenched in rain.
But they go from being, you know, in the nice house where they're completely dry, just watching the rain outside, and they're like, "Oh, isn't it interesting?" To walking down the steps, walking. You know, there's the shot of the I can't remember what the boy, the character.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can't remember his name either. But he's there and he looks at his shoes, just absolutely soaked, and the water is just pouring down behind him. He's like, "Oh, I've still got so far to go," and he's just walking. I just thought that bit,
it's like the descent from the ivory tower.
The camera movement as well is amazing until they just become to their house, which is just flooded and just tiny and trashed, and it's just like that's such a good metaphor for basically the whole film.
And on a similar level,
so
there
was an
interview of Bong Joon-ho where he discussed the idea of the architecture. So like, you know, the rich house is raised. It's, you know, you have to go up steps to get to it. It's on a hill, while the other one is subterranean. It's literally it's an underground apartment. So it's literally the idea of them, and with the parasite metaphor, it's these insects that come out from underneath the ground and rise up.
That is actually really good.
Yeah.
I just really like. I mean, you could argue that it's over the top, but I don't think it really is. How much it hammers home the difference between them. Whereas,
but that is its point.
Bringing it back from last week, whereas the Joker does it way too over the top, Parasite does it masterfully.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's like they are downtrodden, but it does it in such a way where I don't feel sick. Whereas in the Joker, I was like, oh yeah, come on, move on. Whatever. Whereas in this, I was just like, oh shit. And then the parallels you see of the rich people, it just reinforces the story and makes you identify with the characters more, and it's like that's the way to do it.
But it's interesting. It's the small details of how the rich people compare to, like, so for example, the ramdon dish.
Yes.
Which I've done some research into because I quite like instant
Do you know, I only saw this, but I know exactly what you're going to say.
Oh, indeed.
And I know this because Binging with Babish said it.
Okay. You know exactly what I'm going to say. Okay.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Really? That's
yeah, right. Okay, go on.
Right, so this is a famous dish in North Korea. It's a comfort food, basically mixing...
North Korea?
South Korea. I mean, maybe North Korea has noodles.
Well, probably.
But basically mixing these two types of noodles together as like a sort of a quick comfort food. But what the rich family does is they add this really expensive cut of steak to it.
Famously, I think it's the most expensive steak in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, and so...
Because it's more expensive than Wagyu steak, which is...
Alright.
Yeah.
I'm not a steak man, so
and this is just what Binging with Babish said,
okay. But I think like small details like that, like taking this sort of like comfort food as known for being this cheap, quick thing
but also,
to make, and making it a gourmet dish. But
without the steak, it's like, I think it was like 30 cents to make.
Yeah, exactly.
But with the steak, it's like $60, and it's like that's such a huge difference.
Small amount of comfort, and then with that as well, there's of course the sort of the dismissiveness of it. It's like
but then also none of them want it.
Exactly. Then it's like, can you put on this food for us? They race to make it. It's like, oh no, he doesn't want it anymore. Oh well, I guess I'll eat it. And it's like that's such an expensive meal that we just cooked in the end.
Yeah.
And you know, no one actually cares.
No one cares.
It's such a normal thing for them to have. You know, it's because afterwards, you know, there's a sort of a benign argument almost, just like, oh, why didn't you tell me we're having ramdon? You know, the girl's moaning upstairs. It's like as if it's just, you know, oh, I made croissants in the morning, like something simple. But it's like in this family that is, you know, the standard. Yeah. It's the small details like that which I think really help it sort of keep together.
Also, just, you know how right at the beginning there's the beetle.
Yes.
That comes in and he flicks it away. I was like, that is the whole film.
Yeah. Who is the parasite? Ooh.
But for a long time I thought I had it sussed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen. And then it just twists.
Go on. Right, so what did you think was going to happen then?
Well, I thought that slowly their whole family would take over the posh family, but then I thought somehow they would get rid of the posh family and just try and usurp them and take their place.
That was pretty much what I thought. I thought...
Yeah.
I mean, spoilers for Knives Out for like half a second, but I basically thought of the ending of the Knives Out, where she essentially is my house, my rules, get out. I thought it was gonna, they just slowly take over and essentially sort of drive the family out through, like changing the locks or whatever. You know, maybe more to it.
Well, yeah.
But like that kind, eventually just like.
But I thought that's where it was going, and for a long time I was like, oh, are we near the end? Because they're all in the house. I was like, they're sort of celebrating. Right before the housekeeper comes back, they were celebrating, they're all drinking, they're like, oh, this is our house now. I was like, oh, we right at the end then they're gonna like lock them out or deal with the family when they come back or whatever. And then it twists, and I just did not see it coming at all.
And this is why it's been so protected spoiler wise. Pretty much, because this twist comes and must be about an hour in maybe. But it's not. It's shorter than halfway in. And it completely and utterly changes the direction of the film.
But it changes it so unbelievably that
it literally goes from like slightly like dramedy to suddenly being almost like a horror thriller.
But that bit where she opens the secret passage, the underground bunker. That scene where they go down the stairs was unbelievable. I was like on the edge of my seat, like, oh my god!
I nearly said something out loud before I remembered I was in a cinema. Like,
what were you gonna say?
I just like, holy shit! Just like some kind of exclamation. Like, I couldn't believe.
I could not believe that. I did not see that coming at all.
And it speaks to the excellent direction of the film, but it's not. You'd think in most films that'd be such a change in like tone and genre and everything would be such a breakneck change.
Yeah.
But it spins out of control so seamlessly.
Yeah.
That you just don't even notice the how dramatically it has changed. It feels like naturally carrying on.
It's so well done. And it just blew my mind. That bit was just so good. And when she's talking, when they're eating the noodles, the ramdon, she's talking about how, oh, do you believe in ghosts?
Yes.
And then you get the shot of the man coming out. That's
terrifying.
Terrifying. Yeah, it's freaky. But also you get the subtle bit of the mum when she just side-eyes the thing. I was like, she knows exactly what she's talking about. She's like, oh my god, I've met that ghost. I know who you're talking about. Like, can't say anything or react to it at all. It's like, that's so good. That's the other thing I want to bring up about Parasite as well. The performances were amazing.
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah, they were so good. I just thought every single one of them, especially the main
family, yeah,
they were so good. The dad in particular,
and the thing is, not only were they all good individually, but the chemistry they had with each other was also so believable. Like you felt this real sort of familial love between them and a sort of camaraderie.
Yeah,
like they felt like they were related. It didn't feel like actors on the screen. It felt like a real family.
Yeah,
which was really good.
I just thought it was brilliant.
Yeah. Also, what I find quite funny, and I think this overall speaks for the sort of sense of humour that's in a lot of Bong Joon-ho's films, like sort of just throughout as an underlying thing, is the dad's sort of freak out at the end is almost based entirely upon being called Smelly.
I thought that was really good, like the way you do it. Like you get him, so you get the rich. He's the Park family is the rich family, aren't they?
Yes, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so. Daddy Park.
Daddy Park.
Papa Park. Jesus Christ. Please cut that.
No. That's going to be the episode title.
Oh no. Papa Park.
No. That's worse than Park Me Daddy.
How? Anyway, the really rich one, you just get him just, little sniff. And then you get the wife... Mama Park. You get her sniffing so much just to open the window, and then right at the end when Mr. Basement Man comes out, he's like gagging because he can't, because he can't handle the smell of poverty, isn't it? Yeah. Is essentially what it is. And then that's why. But Mr. the dad, he can't smell it at all. And he keeps smelling his clothes and is like, what is going on? I cannot smell this.
That's
at
an
all.
interesting. I hadn't even thought of it as the poverty angle of it.
Well, that's exactly what I thought. It's like they can
that makes a lot of sense, though.
smell the poverty on him.
Well, because of course their family, they live in poverty. That's just the background smell to them. Whilst the rich family, that makes a lot of sense. Actually.
Because when he comes back and he's like, "Oh, we all have to start washing our clothes with different stuff."
Yes.
And then even when they do that,
it's not gone.
It's not gone because he can still smell it. He's like, "Oh, I can still really smell it really strongly." And then when the guy who lives in the basement comes out, because he has literally nothing. He has zero.
Yeah.
The poverty stinks so much on him that it overwhelms the Mr. Park so much that he can't handle it. He's like gagging, isn't he? And then the dad still can't smell it, and I thought that's why he then snaps.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, 'cause he's like, he sees him smelling and being like, oh my god, this is disgusting, I can't handle this, which is why then the dad is just like, no, you're going down. What I didn't really get was why. I mean, I do get it because they sort of built up to it, but why he ran away at the end.
Why he ran away?
The dad.
Oh, what, meant hid in the house?
Yeah.
I mean, because I think he's the only one of the family who actually committed a murder there, so he had to go into hiding.
Do you think that was his thinking? Because I thought he was running away to protect himself. Because
yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, yeah, but when they're all drinking and that,
right?
But I thought you mean he's doing that to protect his family, not to protect himself.
Oh no, I think it's literally just like.
But you could argue either way, couldn't you?
So what's your version of it?
Well, because when they're all drinking before the housekeeper comes, and their family's getting drunk, and the Park family's gone on holiday or whatever, they're like, the mum says to him, "Oh, if we ever get in trouble, he just runs away like a cockroach."
Oh yeah, okay.
So I thought, oh, cockroach, Parasite, he's just running away.
Yeah.
But then you could also argue that because he's stabbed Mr. Park, he's like, oh, the only way to protect my family is if I leave. So you could argue it either way, couldn't you? It's a selfish but selfless action at the same time.
I saw it as selfish of just simply like, I've committed the murder, I don't care about my family's safety, I don't want to be with them because they'll face the consequences, but like if we're together kind of thing.
But
like,
initially
I
thought it was like that.
Okay.
But then I thought, actually, because he's obviously a smart man, isn't he? I thought maybe he's done the thing where he's like, oh,
a smart man but easily clouded by anger.
Yeah. But also greed as well, I think.
Yeah.
But I think he thought, if I can run away, I can protect my family from any consequences, because they can just blame everything on me, and then I can leave and they'll be fine.
So this is the other thing I like about the film, is without being particularly artistic or like, pretentious or anything, it's still very much open to interpretation. And there's a lot of ways between us, like we're finding so many other ways we can interpret the film of what seems like a relatively like, on the surface, just like, it's a drama. There's no like weird, I
also, just quickly, because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
I think there's so much of it, so much symbolism and just brilliance in that film that it's absolutely deserving of Best Picture, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think the other good thing I like about it is that because it's had this Oscar sort of appreciation, it's won the Best Picture and it's the first one to do so. It's made it's caused a lot of mainstream attention, and there's a lot of people.
But a lot of people going to see it would not have seen it otherwise. Yeah,
and I think that's because there's always been sort of this stumbling block of subtitled films that most mainstream audiences don't want to read subtitles, and therefore just don't watch so many incredible films. Yeah. But I feel like Parasite is starting to open up that barrier. I mean, there's been lots of. It's not the first, and it won't be the last. But I think this is another a decisive point in this sort of this movement to get subtitled films seen by the mainstream, to get people to get over that half-inch barrier, as Bong Joon-ho referred to it.
Yeah,
I think that's really good.
Yes. So, what do you think? He is developing a Parasite Amazon series.
It's an HBO miniseries.
It's HBO, is it? Yeah. with English actors, or not English,
Yes.
well, you know, English speaking actors.
Because it's essentially going to be like an extended remake, as I understand it.
Yes, but it is a direct remake, is
Yeah.
it?
Well,
I thought
I don't know.
he was. I don't know if necessarily if it was a remake, but I thought he was expanding the world of it.
I'm not sure it's going to be a direct sequel or anything. What I imagine it's going to be.
I just don't know how well it will translate from Korean to say American or whatever.
Well, this is an interesting thing. I think one of the reasons Parasite's done so well internationally is because it's still quite a universal.
The class divide.
Yeah, social commentary. Because there's some articles saying about how this stuff happened. It's been shown to happen in London and Paris, and every major city in the world has these sort of like these poor au pairs who have access to this great house which no one's in because they're off somewhere else and essentially live in luxury as as servants. Yeah. So I think it has that global appeal to any economy and social.
And I thought
society.
There was another thing. Again, just quickly, I've got so much to say about this film
yeah.
now. I didn't think I had much to say about it, but now I'm off.
It's a ramble.
It is, but it's so good. There's so many bits. Like, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, oh my god, that's connected to that.
That's why I really want to rewatch
it.
So I think rewatching again, like so much will just be like,
but it's so cyclical, isn't it? Like the stuff they say right at the beginning that comes back around right at the end, and other things. But also, what I like is how they are, when they are like, again, in the drinking scene, that pivotal scene, which I mean it is
the sort of the turning point in the entire film.
Yeah, but they say, oh, this is our house now, they've with our salaries combined from the Park family, or we could run this house. It's like, but I mean clearly they can't get beyond the fact that they can't, because their entire income is the Park family.
They're a parasite, and a parasite is a host.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have to have the Park family there, and also they're like, oh, we're big now, but at the end of the day, they are still servants. They are still doing all these things.
The manual labour and
yeah,
all the washing and cooking, all the rubbish jobs for this other family. Yeah.
Yeah. They can't elevate beyond their station because they can't.
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
Because to do that would lose all the stuff they have. The only reason they have this stuff is because they are at their station.
Yeah, they can't rise up further than they can. Than
they already are. Yeah.
I've just realised another thing which I love. Oh my god, I love this film. The Rock.
The Rock. Yes.
You know The Rock. You know what I'm talking about.
Dwayne Johnson. He's gonna be in the remake as The Rock.
As The Rock. That is amazing.
I've got a present for you.
It's The Rock. But you know how they were like, right at the beginning, he's like, oh, here's The Rock. It's supposed to give you prosperity and good luck.
Yeah.
Which
and bring wealth,
which you think it does, right? Because they get all this, but they're being the parasite, they're being parasitical, and they are making it, and you're like, oh, maybe it's The Rock. But which is why he brings The Rock everywhere. He can't lose The Rock.
Yeah.
But the boy gets twatted in the face with The Rock.
Yes.
And it gets his skull cracked, and then he has the brain surgery or whatever. But you can argue that it's once The Rock has literally like entered his body, like been smacked into his skull.
Right.
Maybe that's why he's the only one of the family who becomes very rich and successful enough to buy the house.
But he doesn't actually buy the house.
Well,
that's the thing. Because I thought the film was because he does this in this letter. He talks about like, I'm going to buy the house one day and we'll see you again.
But it shows that scene, doesn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Because for a while I thought the film was going to end on that and like don't. Because you'll ruin it.
Yeah.
But I like that it stays as a pipe dream. Because I think the point is that house is unattainable to him. And I think that's the sort of the drawing point is this is entirely different leagues of society, of people, of a species almost.
Yeah.
That these people just will not ever be that wealthy to manage that house.
But I do like the idea that it is possible. I mean, again, it's all up to interpretation.
Anything's possible. But the likelihood, the society's comment I feel is making is that the likelihood that he may want this house for whatever reason, but he will not get it. This is a pipe dream, and all he can do is just write in this letter and daydream about owning it.
Yeah.
In the same way, I might daydream about owning a Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Which won't happen.
Literally, as soon as they showed The Rock, I was like, someone's gonna get brained with that. I was like, why else would it be there?
Well,
someone's getting killed by that. Jesus Christ. Oh. Should we start calling it The Stone instead?
I'll just start making Pink Floyd memes.
Oh, no.
But anyway, you're starting to ask a question about the HBO series at one point. I don't think you quite got to the question.
Oh yeah, I was like, well, what do you think of that? Do you think it will ruin it? Do you think it will?
I don't think it will ruin it. What I mean,
it's still directed by.
That's the thing. I think if it didn't have Bong Joon-ho involved, I think then it would be terrible.
Yeah.
But I think the fact he's in it, and the thing he's directed the English language quite often, like The Host and Snowpiercer and Okja. Oh no, sorry, not The Host. Snowpiercer and Okja certainly were English language. Yeah. So he's fine doing that. And I think I don't think it will replace the original, and who knows how good it will be. But I think firstly it will help make that that jump for people, to bring cinema from foreign cinema to like the more mainstream masses.
What interests me is how much can it improve on it.
I think
obviously it can expand on it, but will it improve on it? Like there's this big argument that the reason you remake something is to improve it. If it failed, you want to remake it.
Well, that's
so
the
it's
philosophy,
better.
but never gets followed. But well, I think Parasite's such a high watermark to follow. The likelihood is no. Well, I think it will supplement it. I think the main thing
for
is
an English audience.
Yeah, so I think maybe there'll be more. I mean, obviously this is dependent on how much Bong Joon-ho writes it, because he'll probably still be basing it off like Korean sensibilities. But then maybe there'll be more American inflections to sort of make it, have more of a connection with American society. But I think in general the main thing we'll do is we'll take this extra runtime to expand on the content. We'll see more detail. We'll see more interaction with the family. It will build slower.
Yeah.
And we'll see this problem, the same story and problem occur and evolve over a longer period of time. I think is the main thing.
Okay.
But yeah, I think a supplement to, but not replacing it, is how it will go down probably.
Yeah. Well, that just made me. What I just said about the remakes makes me think of Netflix is remaking Avatar: The Last Airbender live action.
Are they still doing that?
They are still doing it.
I thought that was a meme which died out.
No, it's real. Live action, but with
You've ruined my day.
But with the same showrunners and writers as the original series. But there is no way they can improve it. They will just make it live action, and even if they recreate the animation shot for shot, it still will only be just as good as the original. And it remaking something that's already incredible makes no sense to me. Because what's the point?
You can't. There's no. The only way is down.
Yeah, exactly. But also,
even if it is an improvement, it'll be such a minor improvement. What was the point?
Yeah.
But what I don't understand overall is this is again going back to the Lion King thing of like the animation isn't good enough. Apparently, we have to have live action things. It's like, why you don't see things having a live action film and being like, we're going to make an animated remake of it.
I mean, you do it very occasionally, especially with like superhero stuff. Like you got the Harley Quinn animated show, and you've got a lot of Batman and Superman animated shows that are arguably a lot better than
not remakes, but they're generally their own thing. As in like the Batman animated series isn't like a remake of Tim Burton's Batman, for example.
Well, I mean, you could argue that because a lot of say Batman and or Superman films are based on the comics, that as are the animated series based on the comics, you could say that they are similar. They're the same vein.
I mean, the problem is that's getting into adaptation, which is sort of its own thing. But in terms of like, for example, no one's made like an animated remake of Citizen Kane.
No.
Well, I mean, no one's made a remake of Citizen Kane. To be fair, they've had a blessed restraint on that.
Yeah.
But like, that's basically my point. Is it doesn't go both ways. We only seem to have all these live action remakes are happening of animated films because it's like this sort of inherent bias that animation is for kids and isn't good enough, and
which is really annoying because especially in The Last Airbender, the animation is one of the best bits. Like it's so incredibly well animated and it's so good for what they're doing. Like
it's ingrained into the context of the film.
Wonderful, they're like beautifully animated. I mean, especially with all the elements and all that.
I think we can see comparing it to the awful live action film.
Is it Ang Lee? Was it Ang Lee that made the?
No, it was M. Night
Shyamalan. But of course it was.
But like you can see just how pitiful the effects look when you make them live action.
But also, you're trying to do the thing where
lacking in sort of depth and sort of.
If you watch, I don't know if you how much you've seen it.
Of what?
The M. Night Shyamalan film.
I've seen basically lots of reviews of it, but I haven't.
Also, they try and cram. So it's a 23 episode long series. No, was it 23 or maybe 20? episode long
20-something.
series. The episodes are roughly
22 minutes.
22 minutes. But
Maybe
that's
24.
condensing that whole season long into a 2-hour long film.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
Even if
you
you
lose
cut out
so
the Great
much.
Divide.
Yeah. Which they did.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But, so there was a thing where in the remake, the live action remake, M. Night Shyamalan's film, he wanted the effects and everything to be impressive and the fight scenes. But if you watch the fight scenes, a lot of it is the actors just waiting to be in the right position, waiting for the camera to be in the right position so that they can then start moving.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to do this like one take fight scene
Well, it's
kind of
from
thing.
1917, isn't it? With the restrictions of cinematography on.
Well, whereas in 1917 works a bit better because they haven't
Haven't got superpowers.
well, but they've got guns in that. Whereas in this, they've got to do very, very particular martial arts moves. Whereas in the animation, they don't have to wait because they're animated. Because they can animate it exactly as they want.
Exactly.
And you get these incredible, like, fight scenes that have this amazing, one-take movement that look just as good because they're not actors who have had to do this whole thing. They're just animated people.
And that's the virtue of pure animation, is the fact that you can achieve literally anything in animation. You can make the stuff that would be like, logistically, at least infeasible in live action, is just standard bread and butter in animation. That is why it can do these kind of like fantastical stories so well, and have it so consistently good with its visuals. Unlike live action, where you've got to worry about will the effects look good, will it look realistic, will it have that weight and depth to it. Well, an animation is like, yes, because everything does. It's all equal footing because that's how the style works.
But that film sucks.
Yes, I don't think that's a
The
controversial
series
statement.
Is amazing. Also not a controversial statement.
But yeah, so the live action series on that.
But I don't understand. Like,
it's a point that
it's the same writers, the same showrunners. Like, what's the point? Like, as I said, like, even if they make it shot for shot recreation, it will only be just as good as the original. But then we've got the original, so what's the point?
Yeah.
There is no possible way they could improve on it. Like, why make it?
And the only reason left is like, oh, what's the main difference then? Animation versus live action, because animation isn't valid. And that's what annoys me about it. And because what else could it be? Why else would it be?
But then with this type of thing, it's going to be so over reliant on CGI that it will just look.
It'll be a Lion King.
It will be a Lion King.
Well, maybe close to Jungle Book.
Yeah. But it will be because think about it. All of the animals will have to be CGI because they're like there's not a single.
And Upper looked terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
How cute he is in the animated one, and then he's a monstrosity in the M. Night Shyamalan film.
But all of the bending will have to be. Stop. All of the bending will have to be CGI, obviously.
Yeah.
But that works so well in the animation, but it's just going to look goofy.
Plus, also think about things such as like the massive drill. I can't remember what episode it is. It's in season 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like breaching, passing, say.
Yeah.
But how so much of that episode is going to be CG because you've got this massive like desert. You've got this colossal drill that's like miles long.
Wall as well.
Yeah, there's the wall. There's all these tanks as well that are getting like completely like earthquaked to death.
Yeah.
How that is just going to be entirely animated through computers and like photorealistic. But that's animation.
Point? Yeah.
There's moments like that throughout the series where it's just gonna be like the amount of actual live action stuff in it will be so minimal, it'll be pointless.
Yeah.
It will just be photorealistic updates of the original animation.
It's annoying, isn't it?
So that's enough about Parasite.
Right, well.
So I was supposed to become a Parasite on the Parasite review. Only team off it as a host.
Wow. Oh man, we know how to do this.
Yeah, it was all part of our artistic goal.
Wow. I mean, Last Airbender really came out of... that was random, wasn't it? Anyway, I think that's it, isn't it?
I think that's it for this week.
Yeah.
You've been listening to Nick Prosser
and Andrew Jones
on the Ciné Rambles podcast. See you next week.
Bye.